Hey everybody, David here, and today I want to do a top 10 list of my top 10 favorite villain performances in Disney live action films. Yes, I really do enjoy most of the live action Disney films, and I think we've gotten some great performances, even in the ones that aren't my favorite. I think there are some really good performances in those films too. Sometimes I wish the movie would have gone a different direction, but that doesn't mean the performance is bad. It just means the movie didn't live up to what I was expecting it to be. So I'm putting all biases at the side and I'm saying these are the top 10 performances that I really loved in these films. Let's get started at number 10. Is V.A. Vanderveer, played by Michael Keaton in the Dumbo movie. That's right, Dumbo 2019. Michael Keaton was cast in it. It was the first time he was reuniting with director Tim Burton since 1992's Batman Returns, and reuniting with Danny DeVito in that movie too. All we needed was Michelle Pfeiffer, and we would have had a really cool Batman Returns reunion. But that didn't happen. But I did think Michael Keaton's performance was really great in that movie. I thought he was great as the villain. So it was really fun watching him, especially after he played a villain already in Spider-Man: Homecoming. It's like, yeah, let me play the villain one more time. Or let me get a chance at playing a villain, but in a different way. This time with an accent, and I really dug it. It was cool. Moving on to number 9, I have Maleficent, played by Angelina Jolie. I did not love this movie. I actually think it's a little boring at times. But for the most part, Angelina Jolie did play the villain Maleficent, who, Maleficent is mostly known as a villain. But when she was actually bad, mostly in the beginning of the film, that's when I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be great. She's playing the villain that we always wanted to see in live action. Maleficent is one of the greatest villains, right? She's even the leader of the villains in the Kingdom Hearts video games. So like, you're expecting this really evil, torturous character, and they turn her good at the end. And that's kind of why Maleficent is a little lower on my list. But when she was evil, I did feel she was knocking it out of the park, and she did feel like that character for whatever amount of time we got her to be bad. I just wish they could have kept her bad instead of turning her good. But it's like the movie thought, well, Angelina Jolie is a big star. We can't have her be evil. We'll see what the Cruella movie does, but hopefully Emma Stone does not get redeemed at the end of this Cruella movie, and that movie will learn from this movie's mistakes. Moving on to number 8, I have Stain, the Knave of Hearts, played by Crispin Glover. Crispin Glover, when you find out that this is the same guy that played George McFly in the original Back to the Future film back in 1985, it's like, wait, what? And I know he's played creepy and evil before, but it's just been a while since I seen him in a blockbuster movie that it caught me off guard, and especially with the makeup and effects and stuff that they put on him. It made me realize, why hasn't this guy been in more big blockbuster movies? Maybe he doesn't want to be in them, but he should be in them because he's such a great actor. And I thought he did a really great performance in Alice in Wonderland, despite the fact that Alice in Wonderland is probably one of my least favorite of these live action adaptations. I did feel his performance, though, as the Knave of Hearts was really good. So moving on to number 7, I have Jafar, Aladdin, one of my all-time favorite Disney animated movies. And the live-action one is probably my second favorite of the live-action remakes. I really do think the Aladdin live-action adaptation was really faithful to the animated film. And I thought all the characters were spot on. If I did have to pick one of the weaker characters, though, it was Jafar. But I do think the actor named Marwan Kenzari, I thought he did a really good job as Jafar. it's just hard to top that theatrical performance that the animated version does, that I think really makes Jafar such a memorable character in that animated movie. I still think the live action version did a really good job too, but it just doesn't live up to what the animated version does. I still hope to see a Return of Jafar movie with him returning as Jafar, because I do think he did a really good job. And look, he doesn't have to go all out and theatrical, right? Like the animated version. He plays it the way he does. Yeah, unfortunately, when you're competing against a animated character, there's some things the animated characters, I guess, can do that a live action performance can't. And we just have to accept that. Moving on to number 6, I have the Red Queen, played by Helena Bonham Carter. Again, this movie, Alice in Wonderland, is not my favorite of the live action adaptions. But I do think that there are some really good performances in there, and the villains obviously are there because they made my top 10. What would the live action heroes look like? Maybe I'll save that for another time. But yes, Helena Bonham Carter as the Red Queen, I thought was really great. She actually had some funny lines, some funny moments in the movie. I remember. I just wish the movie was a lot better to serve the cast. Again, I don't hate the movie. I've actually grown to enjoy it a little bit more in recent years. But it is definitely one of my least favorite. But I do think the Red Queen is a standout that comes from that movie.
Twink.
Moving on to number 5, I have the original Cruella de Vil. That's right, played by Glenn Close. I thought Glenn Close chewed the scenery in that original 1996 film. I know they did a sequel, 102 Dalmatians. I'm going to be honest, that movie was terrible. But the original film, not the animated film, the 1996 film, which was a remake of the 1961 animated film, I thought Glenn Close really did a terrific job. So moving on to number 4, I have Scar, voiced by Chiwetel Ejiofor, who did a tremendous job. And just like Jafar, Scar and Jafar are my top 2 favorite Disney movies. Villains, although Aladdin and The Lion King are my top 2 favorite Disney movies. So I was kind of sad that I didn't put Scar and Gaston a little bit higher, but again, it has to do with me. It's part of me comparing it to the original performance, and I think Jeremy Irons was so good as the voice of Scar in the original animated film that in this newer adaptation of The Lion King, I think Chiwetel Ejiofor did great, but there were some lines of dialogue that were the same from the original film that I kept comparing it to the way Jeremy Irons played it, and that affected me a little bit by judging Chiwetel Ejiofor's performance. So there's one scene in particular where whenever it comes up, I always get disappointed with the way it's delivered, and it's the part where Scar throws Mufasa off the cliff, and he says, "Long live the king," before he throws him off. The way Jeremy Irons says it in the original animated film is like this creepy, sinister way. And the way they play it out also, you see Mufasa's eyes widen because he realizes, holy cow, holy shit, my brother's going to kill me. He's the villain all along. Not to start an Agatha Harkness song, Agatha all along. It was Scar all along. In the newer version, the 2019 live action version, if you want to call it live action, the way Chiwetel Ejiofor delivers that line is not as creepy and sinister as I think it should have been delivered. So that's just me, though. I still thought his performance was great all around. I do love the part where he confronts Simba. When Simba confronts him finally at the end, towards the end, I do love that confrontation between the two and how he's like, "Oh, you killed your mother, you ran away, you did all this," and then has Simba at the cliff. So there are still some great moments with his performance. it's just there's a couple moments where I'm like, I like Jeremy Irons better in the original version. So that's just me.
Long live the king.
Long live the king!
Moving on to number 3, I have Gaston, played by Luke Evans, who I thought did a terrific job as this character. And I'm going to be honest, Gaston is my least favorite animated villain. So to have Gaston all the way up at number 3 shocked even me. And yeah, he kills it, man. He kills it. The original Gaston, I never really hated him. I just thought he was a buffoon. And I know that's the point. But this live action version with Luke Evans, I felt he played it as a goofball kind of thing. But there is a moment in this movie where it begins to make you say, oh, wow, this guy has to die. And it's the part where he punches Belle's father across the face. And I know that's not maybe an actor's choice. That was maybe a choice in the script that said that he had to punch Belle's father. But that was the moment where I'm like, okay, I hate this guy more than the animated version now. Because I don't think Gaston in the original animated version went that far. I do think he went a little bit farther with that scene alone. And then when he shoots the beast, I think he shoots the beast in the animated film too, but it was more, he shoots him twice. And Gaston, you know, Luke Evans is a great actor in everything he's in. So to see him, you could tell he was really having a great time and a great singing voice too. So the Gaston song in this movie, the live action version, I actually enjoy it more than the animated version. It's the same freaking song, just with a different performance, a different actor doing it. Yeah, I love it. So moving on to number 2, I have Sherkhan, voiced by Idris Elba. Sherkhan, probably not even one of my top 10 villains from the animated film. One day I have to do the animated villains. But Sherkhan in the live action version was exactly what I thought Sherkhan should have been. And it's exactly what I thought Scar should have been. He is fearsome in here. You fear Shere Khan. You hope that Mowgli gets out of this alive, although you kind of know that he's going to get out of it alive. It's still fun and cool seeing this tiger, this scary looking tiger with a scar on his eye, which is funny because Scar has the scar also. But I really did love the performance that Idris Elba gave. You could tell he was smart and he was cunning, and he was going to do anything necessary to get this kid back so he could kill him himself. And yeah, man, I loved it. It definitely rose. If I was to do an all-out Disney villain, and I was counting both the animated and the live action, this definitely helped Shere Khan get to the top of my top 10 list of Disney villains of all time. Finally, number 1. Are you ready? Lady Tremaine, played by Cate Blanchett in Cinderella. The evil stepmother in Cinderella, Lady Tremaine, is a character that even in the animated version, you love to hate. She was a terrible person when she ordered her daughters to rip Cinderella's dress, and she smiles about it. Come on, daughters, let's go to the ball. It's like, oh man, this bitch needs to be taken down. And Cate Blanchett plays that so brilliantly in this movie. Right when you are introduced to her, okay, maybe she doesn't seem too bad. She's a little snobby, but that's not too bad. I think Cinderella can deal with this. But once the father leaves the house and she tells Cinderella, oh yeah, is it okay if my daughters can take your room? Oh, and she starts taking a little bit more advantage, and you start seeing things getting worse and worse and worse. Man, she probably studied that performance. I don't know, studied the animated version and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to raise this times 100. And she really does. She is definitely that character you want to hate. And that moment where Cinderella, she knows that the prince is looking for her, and she goes upstairs to grab the slipper because she hid it. And you know how the original animated version is. She brings the slipper downstairs, shows the prince, and they live happily ever after. No, this one had a twist in it where the evil stepmother finds out about the glass slipper, smashes it, and says, "You're screwed now." And I really do love when Cinderella leaves the house and she actually tells her evil stepmother, you know, even though all this crap you did to me, I'm paraphrasing here, even though you did all this crap to me, I still forgive you for what you did. But I'm not going to see you ever again. So, yeah, I thought it was great. Justice is deserved. That's the justice that I like, man. It's like rub it in your face, rub it in her face. Say that, you know what, I'm going to go live a life of luxury. You're going to stay here and be poor. So that's the justice I like. So with that being said, that was my list, everybody. I hope you comment below and leave down your list of your rankings of these evil villains from these live action adaptations. Remember, this is not the animated versions. This is live action only, so they'll be a little bit different than your animated version. I'll tell you what, my animated list will be a lot different from the live action list. So every list is going to be different, and I'm curious to always hear what other people have to say. So with that being said, I hope you guys can like this video because that always helps. Subscribe to my channel. Where will Emma Stone rank as Cruella? Who knows? But I think she's going to do a fantastic job. The trailers have looked pretty good, so I'm looking forward to seeing it this weekend. And until next time, take care.